Hey friends! So today for our gospel-centered parenting content, I wanted to introduce you to a resource. And I will be showing you several more resources in the coming weeks. But I love these and I'm excited to tell you about it. It is called Good News for Little Hearts is the name of the series. This title of the book is called Gus Loses His Grip. Now these are written, this one at least is written by David Powlison. He's a fantastic Christian counselor who passed away recently and went home to glory. But he helped to write, along with another counselor named Ed Welch, a series of 5 or 6 books that are for kids to help them work through various feelings and emotions and life circumstances and things like that. And I don't know, moms and dads, what your evening routines are like when you put your kids down to bed, if you read stories at night or things like that, but we do a lot of stories for bedtime routine. And so having these stories has been great. So I'd like to show you how they're illustrated, show you a bit about the story, how they work, and to help you determine if maybe for a birthday present or for Christmas or something, if you'd want to buy one of these books or the whole series. We ended up buying the whole series of these books that we can read through on occasion with the kids at night. And we've probably read this one more than any other book in the series, Gus Loses His Grip. It says right here at the top, the purpose of the book, and it says, when you want something too much. When you want something too much. Now let me just give you a sense of how the book goes, the way it's written, and what it's designed to do. And let's start with a story here. So, in parenting, something that we have noted with our boys and that we've even had conversations to walk with them through this is, when the boys do something they really want to do, like watching a show, they love doing that, watching some fun show on Netflix, playing some Xbox. Last night was family night. Tuesday night is family night in our house. So we rotate the calendar. There's 5 people in the household, mom and dad and Connor, Blaine, and August. So every week we go in a rotation and a different person gets to pick the meal for dinner and get to pick the activity. So last night, Connor picked macaroni and cheese for dinner and mama threw in some chicken so we could have some protein with the meal. And then the activity was Lego Worlds. It's an Xbox game where you can build little Lego worlds with Xbox and this and that. So Connor and Blaine and August had fun doing that. Now here's something we've noted. When they get to do what they want to do, when you tell them, hey, it's time to shut down, or it's time to quit playing this game, or it's time to come inside and to get ready for bed, whatever it is, no matter what they've been doing, letting them do it for longer does not make it any easier for them to listen and to stop. And in fact, we've noted that the more time they would get to just do what they want, the more cranky and the more whiny and the more complainy they may be when we say, hey, it's time to shut down, it's time to come inside, it's time to stop playing that game. This book is fantastic for addressing that and for helping kids start to sense that it's not that there's something wrong in the world, it's not that there's something wrong with mom and dad or it's unfair, but that there's something wrong in me. That there's something about the way that my heart is working that tells me that it's never enough, that I need more, that I need it, that I have to keep having this, that I can't be happy without having more of this, right? That's an adult problem too, isn't it? Just in different ways that we have to have the gospel of Jesus Christ to deal with. So, there's a little story to help us process this book. When you want something too much. It starts with a little verse here. Taste and see that the Lord is good. So friends, when you go through the book, basically, it's a story of Gus. Gus is a raccoon. Here's Gus's mama. And there's all these things going on in the story. They're picking fruits. They're getting ready for dinner. You find out that Gus really likes candy. And Gus has problems with moderating his use of candy. And it's never quite enough. And in fact, it says here that on Easter morning, they're reading the story of the resurrection, but Gus isn't really paying attention to the story because all he can think about is getting his hands on more candy. Now, as the story goes on, they go to someone's shop, Mr. Hogster. They go to Mr. Hogster's candy shop. Well, Gus is there with a friend, and he starts going to the candy station and filling his paws full of candy that he's not paid for. And then he walks away from the candy shop with mom and dad, and his dad goes to grab his hand, and out of Gus's hand falls all this candy. And suddenly, there's a realization that Gus wants something too much. Now, what's really helpful about this book is then after this scene where Gus loses his grip on this candy, you see, then what happens is Gus and Papa go to the fishing store, and Papa wants to buy some lures, but the problem is he's saying, oh, I just need a few more. I just need a few more. And so Gus's dad is having some issues with wanting something too much, but also Gus's mom is going around to the various shops and she's saying, oh, I just need to go to another shop. I just need to go see one more. I need to pick up one more thing. So the story sets it up really well that if you're reading it to your kids, it opens the door for all of you together as you read it, mom and dad and kids, to process things that we want too much. Ways that it's never enough, that without God changing our hearts and showing us where real joy is, that both moms and dads and kids and everyone can live in the space of wanting something too much. Now, every story does this toward the end, which is great. And what happens in the story is, so there's a scene where Papa and Gus are talking together fishing, and he's leading Gus through understanding, you know what, Gus, it's not just you, Gus, but even me and mom and all of us, we have this issue that we want things too much, that we think are going to satisfy us that really won't. And so what Papa does is he pulls a piece of paper out and he writes on it, and it says, who will free me from being gripped by sin? Thank God I'm reading backwards, thank you. Sorry. Thank God. The answer is Jesus. You see, so basically in every story as it gets to the end, whatever the issue that's being dealt with is one of the characters, one of the parent characters takes out a piece of paper and writes a verse on there to give to the kid and leads them through understanding it. Then at the end, there's this great place in every book. This one says, helping your child with the I wantsies. That's what David Pallison calls this sense of it's never enough, I need more, calls it the I wantsies. And there's 6 great things here that are listed. Number 1, Gus's desire for candy eventually took charge of what he thought and did. That's what happens. The things that we want eventually take charge of who we are, and they end up overtaking our identity. Number 2, our desires are powerful. And there's some explanations here in verses to go through. Number 3, how does Jesus free us? Number 4, living for what you want separates us from God and people. Number 5, keep on asking God for the gift of His Spirit. And number 6, true pleasure comes from enjoying God and His good gifts. Now at the very end, there's some cool little cards that are perforated that you can tear out, and they're called back pocket Bible verses. And so when your kids get old enough to read, you could rip these out and put them in their book bag or a binder or something like that they can read. And on the back of the verse, it says, when you want something too much. So it reminds your kids, hey, when I want something too much, I can read this to remind myself. So I love these books. Good News for Little Hearts. You can find them online. I think I bought mine at Amazon, but I might have bought them at the Westminster Bookstore. That's where Pallison and Ed Welch were professors. So this one's on when you want something too much, but there's books on sadness, on being alone. Another one I want to show you one week is When Jax's Tail Twitched. And it's about a squirrel named Jax who gets angry. And it's a book on dealing with anger. So moms and dads, if you've noticed in your kids that they want something too much, that they're struggling to understand, in the words of Paul in Romans chapter 1, how to not give their lives to creation, but instead to worship and love the Creator, right? We're all prone to do that because of sin. This is an awesome book that allows, as you read it, to then have conversations with your kids about things that you want too much and how the Lord is working in your life to teach you that. Awesome resource, great bedtime book. Really encourage you to pick it up. And we'll maybe do another Good News for Little Hearts book next week, and I'll lead you through that, and we'll have some more resources as we go. Moms and dads, I'm thankful for you. I'm so thankful for our church and the families that are here. This is a weird season with Corona and everything else, but I pray that these little resources, I know they're small, but I pray week to week they're helpful in you thinking about leading your kids at home. All right, friends, love you. Have a great week.